We're pleased to have you all here today. I'd like to bring to the microphone right now Alyssa Martin performing as Hollywood starlet Dawn O'Day.
With her lips of flame, if the color keeps Louis Philippe's to blame.
We see a lot of familiar faces out there, all the living historians and all the reenactors.
We have a good representation of different eras. We still have veterans that come with their grandchildren or great-grandchildren. Makes a nice connection. And then I tell everybody, you're here to educate. Talk to these youngsters. There's a kid running around with World War II stuff on. Teach them what the stuff is.
4th Armored Division was known as Pattons Vanguard. They had tanks and various other support vehicles for the tanks, which are behind me. This is a General Motors 2.5-ton truck, and we had hundreds of thousands of these trucks that were the prime movers of everything. Tanks need ground troops working with them and around them at all times in order to be effective. The vehicles that were used to move those soldiers were armored half-tracks. The big difference between this one and the first one we saw was this was made by Dodge. They loved these vehicles because they could put everything they needed in these vehicles, 6-wheel drive, and they'll go anywhere a Jeep will go.
Here we have a display of what you would see at a World War II PX or pretty much a soldier's general store. This is what a lot of the soldiers would come over and would get whenever they're behind the front line. They come back to relax, rest, something to get their mind off of what they're all going through. And a lot of things you can still see today. And even our soldiers today overseas are still getting these in MREs, just like they used to get them in these old K rations. It's just something that people don't think about, that these were humans, these were kids, teenagers, 18-year-old, 19-year-olds. Sometimes all you need is a Dr. Pepper, a little bit of a Butterfinger, just that memory of home to bring you back.
This would be an average, typical underprepared glider pilot. They were known to fly in with not enough clothes, not enough food, kind of just winging it when they went in. Because the idea was the glider pilot would come in, drop the troops off, and then get back to England however you can, however you want.
Wow.
So a lot of them happened to get lost in Holland at those towns that had really nice bars.
This is mostly North African, because Italy had colonized Libya, and then during the war they were against the British in Egypt. Primarily equipment that the Italian army, most of it was really kind of a leftover from the First World War. They used a lot of the same, basically the same patterns.
I am portraying a flight nurse. The Army had nurses who were specially trained in air evacuation. There were about 2,000 flight nurses in the war. They transported over 1 million patients, 1.1 million patients, with only 46 casualties. This display concentrates on flight nursing, but also some elements of ground nursing, because they complemented each other. There was no doctor on board. They were not hospitals. They were air ambulances. You were responsible for keeping them comfortable, stable, and calm, because many of these soldiers had never been on an aircraft before, and suddenly they're being evacuated.
Yeah, she's got the guys in a world, but she's only fooling one girl.